Corona, who invites you to find your beach. You see the age difference as Parker is 6 years older than Newman. Just a 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage for Paul Parker. As he goes ahead, and Paul Parker looking to play spoiler against Earl Newman, 10-0 with 7 knockouts to his record. Is Earl Newman, he's excited and really looking forward to making a statement here this evening in Bethlehem. But Newman, at 26 years of age, really feels that this is his time to make some waves at 175 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Sands Casino and Hotel here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Live on FS1, this is Premier Boxing Champions. The action begins with 8 rounds in the light heavyweight division. The 3 judges ringside are James Kinney, John McKay, and Kevin Morgan. And the referee in charge, when the bell sounds, Benjy Esteves. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black with the silver. His professional record stands at 8 wins, 4 of those coming by way of knockout against 2 losses. Fighting out of Toledo, Ohio, here is Paul Parker. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. He comes in wearing the black with the red. As a professional, he's undefeated, 10 wins, 7 of those coming by way of knockout. From Brooklyn, New York, here is Earl Flash Newman.
Okay, man, you receive your pre-battle instructions. Give me a clean match. Obey my commands at all times. And most importantly, protect yourself at all times. Trunks are good. Touch them up. Good luck to both of you.
It is our opening contest. Earl Newman aiming to get his 11th victory. He's a 2-time New York Golden Gloves winner. Originally from the East Flatbush section of Brooklyn, taking on Paul Parker of Toledo, Ohio, which incidentally happens to be the hometown of lightweight champion Robert Easter Jr. Ray Flores, Steve Cunningham, Jordan Hardy. As you see that both fighters are conventional, doubling up on the jab is Earl Newman. And Newman, Steve, is no stranger to being in the gym with some top-level fighters, including Adonis Stevenson, Marcus Brown, and Sergey Kovalev.
Yeah, that adds confidence to a young fighter. You know, I did that myself. You stayed in camps, stayed in there with guys that were way better than me, but it helped me get better.
Newman starting off with his jab. The one item that Ariolano Sosa was instructing to us is that he wants to see Earl box that. Despite the 70% knockout percentage, they want Newman to really focus on boxing and remaining on the outside.
I see Parker has established the jab. You know, he's just trying to keep the distance. He's the taller man, he's got the longer reach. But I believe Newman is biding his time, looking for open spots.
Just over a year layoff for Earl Newman. Last time he fought was a victory over Leo Hom. But due to some injuries and fighters dropping out, that led to the layoff. Paul Parker coming off of a loss at the hands of Sullivan Barrera back in April of this past year. He claimed that a big reason why he suffered the defeat was he took it on short notice. Just 10 days is what he was given to fight against Sullivan Barrera, who fought Andre Ward and just picked up a decision over Joe Smith.
Stiff jab from Newman. He's picking his shots, you know, really good. He's trying to be on point and on target. You know, he's had a long layoff.
Steve, when you have a layoff like that, as we are under a minute to go in this opening round, but what do you try to establish in the first couple rounds to try to say, okay, the ring rust is officially off? When do you know?
I mean, really, when fighters get in there, good right hand by Newman. When fighters get in there, once that first punch is thrown, you win. You know, so it's work time. You don't even think about, you know, I've been off long. You know, you don't really think about that. It's time to go to work.
Well, Newman, as he blocked a shot, a right hand by Paul Parker, But Newman already has a good lather and some sweat and a right hand right on the abdomen of Paul Parker. So he's already warmed up and clearly moving along at the right rate.
Good back and forth action here.
Under 10 seconds to go. Earl Newman and Paul Parker in the light heavyweight division. As you are watching PBC on FS1 here from Sands Casino in Bethlehem. You know what's interesting about Earl Newman is that he didn't start boxing until he got out of high school. He just, he walked into the gym and really kind of fell in love with it, but he was never necessarily a young amateur standout. He started boxing at 18, which, Steve, that's relatively old, so to speak, when it comes to guys that are picking up the sport of boxing, and he developed into a very talented amateur.
Well, I started at age 19 in the United States Navy. I started late myself, so I guess that's why I'm 41 and able to still continue on, but it's at that point where a man knows what he wants to do.
And Newman and Parker are certainly mixing it up here in the early going of this matchup. Paul Parker coming forward, trying to whack Earl Newman to the left side of the rib cage.
See, Parker's making it awkward for Newman. He's not just being a tall man. He's rushing in. He's fighting at distance. That's a very smart move.
Well, the 32-year-old Paul Parker has been a 5-year pro. He's fought some quality opposition. Sullivan Barrera, as we mentioned last year, came up with a split decision victory over Lionel Thompson. And before that, suffered a defeat. And a nice left hook there by Earl Newman as Parker comes forward. But he continues to unload and try to connect with that overhand right.
Newman looks like he hasn't really fired up yet, but it's a good right hand he landed right there.
But as Parker is coming forward, he is exposing himself, and Newman is countering him with those straight rights down the middle. And now it is Newman who's more trying to be the lead and be the aggressor, aiming to back up Paul Parker.
Paul Parker's doing good by moving, utilizing the ring and punching. He's being first and he's being last in some instances. I'd like to see more of an output of jab from Newman, just to set some things up. He needs to continue to jab like that a little more. There's that jab.
And as you mentioned, right on cue there, Steve, the jab that is being implemented by Earl Newman, but Parker moves forward.
I wonder if his corner's going to tell him, this is Newman, for him to double back and then counter, because Parker's diving in, and that's knockout material right there.
Parker and Newman, they are tied up at the moment. Benjy Esteves allowing them to fight out of this, and now he will separate them. Under 15 seconds remaining in this second round between Paul Parker and Earl Newman. Parker landed a straight right. Final moments of this second round between Paul Parker and Earl Newman. A left hook there by the Brooklyn native. As that concludes round 2. Roderick Colburn has to be delighted, that being the trainer of Paul Parker, with what he has seen thus far out of the 32-year-old. And a left hook there by Earl Newman, and it looked like Parker's glove touched the mat, but Benjy Esteves did not wave that a knockdown. We will take a look at that, but starting strong, Newman. I don't know if it was that Parker was off balance or if that was a knockdown. Steve, what are your thoughts?
It's one of those hooks that really didn't land solid on the chin, but it landed like behind the head and pulled him. But, a good shot, it still does damage. And I see Newman's listening to his corner. He chose to go to the body in that combination exchange, which is smart also.
And Benjy Esteves is a very good referee, so if he didn't call it a knockdown, we'll take a look at that. But Earl Newman starting off stronger. It almost seems like there is a sense of urgency, Steve, that we are witnessing.
Well, his corner told him we can't be giving rounds away like this, Newman. So Newman stepped on the gas. You know what I'm saying?
Well, his nickname is Flash, and he is starting off extremely quick. But Paul Parker comes forward again, and he throws a right cross, as just over a minute has evaporated in this third round.
That was a beautiful counter right hand by Newman, but he left himself open for a counter himself. A good exchange.
Paul Parker looking to shoot that right hand down the middle, and Newman tied up, and Benjy Esteves will separate them.
Good jab by Newman. I need to see more of those jabs from Newman. Two big guys. We got the Twin Towers in here rumbling. So,
yeah.
you know.
6'4" and 6'3" respectively.
Yeah, you expect, there's that jab. Doubling up and down, but Parker comes right back. Parker's giving nothing away.
An overhead right that landed by Parker, but Newman retaliated.
Throwing that heat.
65 seconds left in the third round between Earl Newman and Paul Parker.
This fight is very interesting. Newman gets hit with a jab, immediately hits Parker with a jab. Nobody's backing down.
Well, neither one of these individuals wanted to give up one bit, and they both connected almost simultaneously with straight right hands. And they both took it very well.
Yeah, that was a good exchange. There's no posturing. There's no setting up. They're setting up in the combination and behind their work, and that makes excitement.
Well, it is calculated aggression that is being on display between both Earl Newman and Paul Parker.
These guys aren't shy. They weren't shy in the first round to get to know each other.
They weren't shy in the fighter meetings either, as both men certainly described their stories to us. Final stages of this third round between Earl Newman and Paul Parker. And a nice straight right cross up for Earl. And standing by with more on what is transpiring in the corner of Earl Newman, we'll send it over to our own Jordan Hardy.
Ray, thank you. I was over in Newman's corner, and his trainer was telling him three things. Stay on the jab to set up that right hand. If he makes him miss, make him pay and work up and down. He said, we got to get Parker out of there. They don't want to go the distance. And you know, Ray, you don't get paid overtime in boxing.
No, you certainly do not. Steve Cunningham, you can attest to that.
Good right hand, Parker.
Let's go.
Parker's rushing in with a straight right hand. He's trying to just beat Newman down.
And during the break, Parker threw a right hand that caught the back of the head of Earl Newman. Benjy Esteves warned him on that infraction. And a nice right hand that landed by Earl Newman. That was his best punch of the fight.
Yes, it was. That's been his money the whole fight, that counter rock back right hand.
Well, now Newman is being the aggressor. There is more urgency that Jordan reported on, that they do not want this fight to go to the scorecards whatsoever.
I guess that's why Newman's kind of waiting for that perfect shot, because there it is, that right hand's just going to come flying out like a missile.
And let's take a look at how you have the fight score thus far. You have it 29-28 for Paul Parker. The first two rounds he gave to Parker, and Newman, in your opinion, is coming on here in the third, and he is showing and getting stronger here in this fourth round.
Yeah, he's turning up the steam. I mean, his corner told him we can't give away any more rounds.
Watch your heads in there.
Blistering right hand, and now Newman is almost pot-shotting Parker, as Parker is leaving himself exposed, and it is Newman who's finding those openings.
Let him out.
Yeah, I'd like to see, this fight go on into the eighth and see how Parker holds up.
Well, already, Steve, we are seeing clear signs of fatigue from Paul Parker. He started off strong the first two rounds, but he's breathing through his mouth, and his activity and his work rate has dropped.
It has. Newman's finding a home for that right hand. He's just found a home for it again.
Or sort of what we saw against Sullivan Barrera's Parker. He started okay against Barrera, but then he dropped and Barrera took over. And right now, Newman is trying to do exactly the same.
Newman is waiting for the perfect counters. He's a good counter puncher, and he's resting behind that ability. And it's working for him this round, big time.
Newman has found a destination for that right hand, and he threw a right cross that was partially blocked, but then he caught the jaw of Parker.
Good stiff jab from Newman.
Earl Newman told us in the fighter meetings, if he is victorious tonight, he wants some of those bigger names at 175 as we near the end of round 4.
But I gave that round to Newman. Newman was really landing better counter right hands.
Well, Steve, great point in the sense that Parker started off with those first 30 or 45 seconds almost with machine gun bursts, but then Newman seemed to dictate the last 2:30 and moving forward.
See, there's that jump in that Parker does. Now, as the rounds go on, just as that one was very slow,
Get off his head.
and Newman
Hold
being a
his
good
head down.
counterpuncher, we may see Parker sitting down off of one of those jump-ins.
Well, you have the fight even through
Get off his
4.
head. Get off his head.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the second half of this matchup. Earl Newman wearing the black and the red, wearing the black and the white. Paul Parker. Newman undefeated, 10-0. But Parker gets back to throwing more punches in bunches, and when he was throwing combination, he was successful in those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, you keep your opponent off. You throw punches in bunches, but those look, they had a little fatigue on them. But Parker's still there.
And Newman using his jab, he's walking down Paul Parker using his ring generalship. But Newman needs to throw more, I think, Steve, here in this 5th round.
See, that's what Newman's waiting for. He's waiting for that counter right hand. He knows he can land it. He sees it, and he's risking punch count just to land that big one because he wants the knockout.
But is it almost detrimental when you're waiting for that home run swing? I mean, FS1 is the home, and a nice right hand there by Earl Newman, and now Newman is coming forward. He landed a left hook that drove back Paul Parker.
Yeah, no doubt. It can hurt you. It can hurt you just waiting for those perfect shots. Totally can hurt you. But he's landing some good shots. He's wearing his opponent down.
What is that baseball mentality in the sense of you're either going to rate for that home run swing or you're going to focus on being more active and look for those singles and doubles to go ahead and drive runs. And right now, it's fair to say that Earl Newman is looking for that home run shot, but he is being more active in the second half of this round.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I mean, like I said, his corner's been turning it up. They've been turning up the pressure verbally on him. Hey, man, we need this. You got to go out here and get this. And he's motivated.
And now Parker has gone to southpaw. Now he squares himself up and tying up is Parker. We mentioned about the fatigue earlier, Steve, and Paul Parker is again exhibiting that.
Yeah, he is. And I mentioned fatigue and combinations. And what I mean by that is Parker looked sharp earlier in the rounds, in the fight. And they just weren't as sharp.
And a right hand that jacked the jaw of Paul Parker. Parker had to tie up immediately as he was clipped with a vicious right hand on the jaw, and Parker still seems to be hurt because he's tied up Newman yet again. And that concludes the 5th round. And
yeah, it's a sense of urgency, no doubt. I mean, and his corners, they're playing it safe too. Hey, when you tell a guy he's down, he's motivated to work harder too. So I thought he won the last round. I thought he did good. He's turning it up. Parker's slowing down a bit. Newman smelling the blood in the water.
And Earl Newman wearing the black and the red. For Paul Parker, Steve, what are you hoping to see? I mean, how can he turn things around?
Parker's got to, he wants to charge in and run in. Parker's got to find a second win and just keep it the way he had it the first 2 rounds and turn it up. Keep it at distance, too. He's good at keeping it at distance. He makes it uncomfortable for Newman. He's in, he's out, he's moving, he's throwing wide punches, but they're landing.
Well, for Earl Newman, do you think, Steve, that if he were to double up his jab more, than that right hand could land? And it has connected during the course of the fight, but more the double jab because Earl Newman has a very good jab that he could pester Parker and thus allow that right hand to land with more frequency.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you got to believe in a double and triple jab. They always do something. They work. They even make the fighter move. They make them do something and waste energy. Good right hand by Parker. Parker's kind of turning up the boxing ability this round.
And Paul Parker is certainly a tough customer. He actually works with troubled youth in Toledo, Ohio. He's a community activist and very proud of where he resides. But he says that when he's in training camp, then it is all business. And another crushing right hand. How Parker took that and continued to fire is beyond me.
Parker's taking your advice. Parker's taking your advice. He's double jabbing, he's triple jabbing. He's getting hit, he's coming back with the double jab. This man is working. He's a workhorse. He's got about 100 jobs that he explained to us.
He is very active in the community. Earl Newman says that this is all he does when it comes to being a fighter. He wants to compete at the highest level, and has championship aspirations. But first, he must contend with Paul Parker.
There's that rush in, and he threw 3-4 punches, and he landed one. And he moved Newman back.
Well, Paul Parker is gaining some steam, but another straight right hand by Earl Newman. And it's a fight like this, Steve, that is, in my opinion, difficult to score, because what are you going to give the benefit of the doubt to? Are you going to look at the precision punching of Earl Newman, or are you going to look at the work rate being displayed at times from Paul Parker, or vice versa?
10 seconds.
Yeah, that's an issue we have today in boxing with judges. You know, what are they scoring? What are they looking for? So, I mean, me personally, I'm going with punches landed and ring generalship.
Between Earl Newman and Paul Parker, round 7 scheduled for 8. Earl Newman, this is his 3rd fight here at Sands Casino. He's undefeated here, or undefeated in his career in general, but he's no stranger to Bethlehem, is Earl Newman. And let's take a look at how Steve USS Cunningham has the fight. He has it dead even as we approach the 7th round.
Let him out.
I see Newman came out and he started that double jab, upstairs, downstairs. He's trying to box more, use his legs.
And Parker looking to rush in and be more the aggressor, pounding away on the left side of the ribcage of Earl Newman. Newman wisely showing a veteran movement, tries to spin around Parker.
See what I'm saying about Parker? He can switch gears. He can fight you on the outside, outbox you, try to outbox you, rush you on the inside, muscle you up. This guy, he's doing what it needs to be done in order to get the win.
Newman is more on that lead foot and is trying to use his forward pressure. But neither fighter, Steve, have been able to break one another. They have been successful in spurts, but neither one has really controlled a prolonged period of action.
Yeah, this is a fight of wills. Fight of wills and who's in better shape. But we see Parker got a little, fatigued, but he switched gears.
Well, he's adapted quite nicely. Earl Newman is as well.
Good right hand by Newman. I keep getting them mixed up with black shorts.
And a nice right hand that smacked off the side of the head of Paul Parker. Newman becoming more the aggressor. Earlier in the fight, he was the counter puncher, and he was allowing Parker to come in and throw shots and then counter him. But now Newman is more walking down the aggressive Paul Parker, and Parker seems to be willing to oblige and be the counter puncher.
Yeah, Parker is he's finding his spots. He's starting to throw that right hand more later on in this round than he did. He wanted to box earlier, but like you said, they're both adapting.
And going down to the canvas is Paul Parker, and he rises to his feet, but you could tell he is exhausted. It took him, and he used some time to his advantage to climb up to his feet. And Newman,
good body shot by Newman. His corner told him a few rounds ago, go to the body. I'd like to see him go to the body more because, as we said, we see fatigue in Parker.
Let him go.
both engaged in a battle. Paul Parker unloads an overhand right. The final moments of this 7th round. One more to go between Earl Newman and Paul Parker. We were able to listen in, and Orlando Sosa, the trainer for Earl Newman, says you're making it harder than what it is. What do you think he's alluding to, Steve?
He's telling him he's not using his ability. You know, he's not keeping it at a constant, arm's length pace. You know, he's got the legs. We see the legs, and we see him at times, but, it spurts.
Well, and during the fighter meetings, Sosa, the trainer, was very implicit to us, and a right hand that connected for Paul Parker, and Newman throws right back. But they wanted Newman to box and stay on the outside. During the course of the fight, Newman has been willing to engage more than what we thought heading into this matchup.
I mean, sometimes you have, in the fight, things change, immediately. You go on the fly. The game plan is this, but you see something that you can do. And I believe that's what happened with Newman. He's landed that counter right hand numerous times, fatigued Parker with it. He's going to stick with it,
Well, Parker's the kind of opponent that is a sort of, so you hear it in college football and in football in general, a trap game where they don't have the biggest name, but they are very tough. They have fought some quality opposition and defeated some quality opposition, so they could make you look bad, but Earl Newman is rising to the challenge.
He is. I mean, he's shown that he's been in there. He's even sparred, like you said, with the Don Esteves and with these top guys. And I mean, you see the pedigree. You see it. He's just had a long layoff, you know. But we don't have time to complain about layoffs. We got to go to work.
80 seconds remaining in the fight between Newman and Parker. Newman, 26 years of age, two-time New York Golden Gloves winner, aiming to elevate his record to 11-0.
If you win the New York Golden Gloves 2 times, you're a bad man.
When Newman did that within a couple of years of going ahead and competing in the amateurs. He's been a pro for almost 3 years. And Newman continues to press the action and walk down Paul Parker, but Parker boxing on the outside.
Good right hand by Newman. Parker's utilizing that double jab. He's utilizing his legs. He's making space for himself. He's getting shots in there.
And Earl Newman, a two-time winner of the Daily News Golden Gloves there in New York. Throwing the jab is Newman. Final moments of this 8th round as we will go to the scorecards. Newman with the left hook. And Paul Parker comes forward. An intriguing matchup between Earl Newman and Paul Parker. Ladies and gentlemen, having gone 8 rounds, we go to the scorecards. Here are your score totals. Judge at ringside, James Kinney scores the bout 79-73 for Newman. Judge Kevin Morgan scores the bout 77-75 for Parker. And Judge John McKay scores the bout 76-76. This bout has been declared a draw. So a draw between Earl Newman and Paul Parker. And Steve, by what we saw, I don't think it is the most egregious decision.
No, I do not. I have the exact same score. I mean, I have the draw. I mean, both of these guys gave, and you know, they came, they fought, they were fatigued, they turned it up. It's very hard to score someone around because you had a guy jabbing, boxing, then you had a guy landing counter shots here and there.
They both had their moments of brilliance. They both were able to dictate pockets of the fight, but neither one dictated in an extensive period of time, and it reflected by way of the scorecards.
Yeah, it was like we said, it was a fight of wills, and neither one wanted to lose, you know, so hats off to both gentlemen. Good fight.